session because today we are going to discuss something which is very much related to the NRI community in UAE or around the world, specifically in UAE. Now, most of the NRIs are investing back in the country or they're in terms of mutual fund stocks or maybe in the real estate. So, we'll try to see what is the benefit versus loss which you're incurring when you're not diversifying your portfolio and not looking out for the right asset class, the right investment vehicle, and the right markets to invest in. So let's get started. Indian mutual funds versus US ETFs. So ETFs, as we all know, is exchange traded funds. It's a basket of stocks which is from US market specifically we are speaking about. So it can have S&P 500, it can have a Nasdaq followed ETF. There are multiple ETFs which are there, but I am going to speak about index specifically in terms of US market and then comparing it with Indian mutual funds, which is again an actively managed fund. It could be an index fund as well, but I'm speaking about Indian mutual funds, which are pooled funds, which can be examples can be HDFC, Mirai, and many other examples are there. ICICI. So there are multiple mutual fund providers out there in India. They are mostly in INR, US. USD it's also available, but I'm going to speak about in INR mutual funds. There is a reason for that, which we will discuss in the next slides. So US ETFs versus Indian mutual funds. Now, as an investor, an NRI investor, if you have to see, if you live in UAE, most of the NRIs who are living in UAE, your expenses are in AED. But when it comes to investing, you are investing in mutual funds in India, which will give you returns in INR only. Now, as we know, INR is continuously depreciating against USD, which in turn is pegged with AED. So basically, I can say that INR is getting depreciated against AED continuously since years, and it has enhanced in past 1 year. Now, if I speak about Indian mutual fund returns in last 10 years or 20 years, the average return would be 12 to 14% INR basis, and it becomes somewhere 8 to 9% in AED terms after removing the depreciation, the currency drag which is happening against the AED. Now, this drag is continuously compounding every single year. It's not a differentiation of 1 year. If you see it across 30 years, across 10 years, 20 years of your investing career, you will see a huge difference, which we are going to see in the next slide. So if I speak about Indian mutual fund returns and US ETF returns, the comparison is huge. So if I speak about mutual funds, again, it's in INR, ETFs is in USD pegged with AED. If there is because there is no peg in terms of INR and USD, so AED gets benefit out of that. Now the currency drag every year which INR sees against AED or USD is around 3 to 4%, and in AED you will not see any drag, but because it's pegged. Now the depreciation every year is working against the NRI. So if we are sending money every year home, every year the depreciation is making our money depreciate by at least 3 to 4% minimum. Now, if I am sending money continuously and not investing from UAE to US markets or even UAE markets, by default minimum 3% benefit I am not getting, and I'm losing when I'm sending to India and investing from there. So we have to keep this in mind. Now, effective return advantage which we see is, I understand Indian mutual funds are getting 12% return, but we have to calculate the 3% depreciation. So your net result would be somewhere 8 to 9%. When I compare it to US ETFs, the returns are, let's say, 12% plus 3 to 4%, which is your currency appreciation, which is happening. So you get in INR terms at least 15 to 60% of returns when you send money back home after 10, 20, 30 years. So this is a very important difference, 8 to 9% net ROI in INR when you are investing through India, and 15 to 16% return when you're investing through UAE in UAE and then sending back money home after 10 to 20 years. Now, if I calculate If I calculate in terms of 10 or 20 years, let's see what is the differentiation coming in the amount aspect as well. So effective rate of return, let's say, is 8.5% effective. So 12% minus 3 to 4%, which is the currency depreciation, we are coming down to 8.5 to 9%. US ETF will be 12%. So in 10 years, you will see a difference of 215,000. In Indian rupees, it will be somewhere around 50 lakh rupees in 10 years of time. Comparing it to 20 years, the compounding and the amount of investment which you will do, you will see a huge difference of 1.8 million dirhams, which will be approximately 5 crores of Indian rupees. So this is a huge difference which we are losing when we are continuously sending money, but through in India and investing through India. So there is no issue in sending money back home as a large lump sum, but when you're actually going to use it. So let's say you're sending money in mutual funds from today itself in India, but you're not going to use that money back home, right? So but you're investing there, so you're losing the currency depreciation there. So if you invest through UAE, and after 10-20 years when you go back home, that time you transfer the money, then it will be a much better pool and much better amount which you will see coming to you. Now if I have to still speak about, a lot of us need money back in India for different things, for education goals, whatever it can be. So still, it could be suggested that 60% of the money can be parked in ETFs of US and other parts of the world, developed markets, and 30% in mutual funds, so that it can take care of your yearly, 2 year goals, 3 year goals, or monthly goals. So but most of the chunk should still go to US ETFs, and 10% is your liquid buffer. Now most of the NRIs in UAE, ETFs should be the primary investment. Why? Because ETFs, your currency is aligned with AED. USD and AED is aligned. Liquidity is there is no drag, and transferable to India anytime. Indian MFs you should only keep for obligations which are there monthly or yearly basis. Now, when it comes to the question is simple. When it comes to, sorry, investment, the question is very simple. Where are you living your life? You're living in UAE, then again invest more through UAE, and when you go back you can take that money as a lump sum back to the country. So if things are clear, I would like to sum up today's live session. Indian MF versus ETF or both? The question is very simple. You stay in UAE, so you should invest in the same currency. When you go back to the country, you can take the whole money back. Again, saying all these things, you can always advise, always take advice from your CA, from your tax advisor. This is not a financial advice. I am giving this you in a general perspective. You can research about this also yourself and take your decision what is better for you. Thank you so much for joining today's live session. Looking forward to get some comments, some inquiries, some questions related to today's live session as well.